I finished up my shift with no sign of the American pilot turning up. As I lived close by, I walked to and from work, and as I made the walk home, I kept stopping and looking behind me. I felt strongly that I wasn't alone, but each time I turned around, there was no one there. I checked my mail on arrival, and there was the familiar white envelope with what appeared to be Adam's handwriting. My mind was in such turmoil at the strange events that I opened it with a slight sense of apprehension. He wrote,
My dearest Grace, I'm hoping this letter finds you safe and well. I miss you so much, and I can't wait until I'm released and can get the all clear to make plans to fly over to see you. The doctors won't sign off on my return to duty until I'm completely recovered. That could be some time, but you are my highest priority now. I have no family, so getting my strength back is foremost on my mind so I can return to you. Respectfully, Adam.
There was more in the letter about day-to-day things, but what stood out to me was where he said he had no family. Adam always talked about his family, how close they all were, and how much they meant to him. I had to be strong and come to the realization that either Adam had fooled me all along, or this was not my Adam. A million questions crowded my mind. How could I find out anything? Who could I speak to? I had Adam's photo, and he had mine. I decided to write back and ask if he could send a photo of himself. A test in one way to see if he mentions that I already have one, and also to see if one indeed arrives, and is it of my Adam? Or was there ever really a my Adam? I went to work next day and posted the letter on my way. I told my closest friends what was happening, and they decided to come around to my house that night after work to see what we could come up with. Then I bumped into the new nurse again who was just finishing her night shift, and once again she told me that the American pilot had come by the hospital asking for me. She said he looked pale and a little dishevelled, but he kept repeating that he needed to see Grace. She told him to come back to the hospital during the day when I would be on duty. He thanked her politely and walked off into the night. This disturbed me beyond words. My friends came around that night, and I shared my letters from Adam with them. As each one read them, they jotted down the discrepancies they saw, which of course matched mine. They studied the handwriting, and knowing Adam had injured his hands, they couldn't really tell if it was for this reason that the handwriting slightly differed, although there were many similarities to Adam's writing as well. One thing we all agreed on was that they felt the writer of those letters was very sincere in his words. One of my friends also had a man she was seeing who was American, but he was a soldier. She wrote off to him the next day to see if he had any suggestions on what I could do or who I could contact. We knew it may be a bit of a wait until she heard back from him. I saw my friends off and headed for bed, wondering if the mysterious American pilot was at the hospital looking for me. That night I had bad dreams about Adam, and visions of him laying hurt and alone. I clearly saw his uniform was in tatters, with burn marks all over him. I awoke filled with dread and spent the rest of the night just laying there, fretting. I started work the next day, and there was no news of any strange visitors at the hospital that night, but Matron came running down the corridor to say that she had received a very odd phone call. A man asking to speak to Grace. A man with an American accent. She said the line was very static and she could barely hear him, and when she kept asking who it was, all she heard was, "Can I please speak to Grace? It's urgent." There was no number she could call back on after the line went dead. She waited in the office to see if the person would call back again, but so far they hadn't. This was getting stranger by the day and very unnerving. When I arrived home that day, there was another letter from Adam, or who I chose to believe was Adam.
My dearest Grace, I'm writing you this letter to let you know that I'm doing much better. The doctors are releasing me soon from the hospital also. I'm going to get a flight and come back and hold you so close. I'll have a big bouquet of pink roses for you. Respectfully, Adam.
A bunch of pink roses? Not yellow, but pink? Even if Adam had suffered some head trauma and was quite possibly suffering a touch of amnesia, why is he remembering so many other things, but not the most special things between us? Such as the yellow roses he knows I am passionate about, and our agreement to always use the word "until" when ending our letters to each other. Adam now uses the word respectfully. I also feel that his letters are coming across more in a polite manner, rather than his usually deeply loving and passionate wording. And there was no photo, and no mention of me asking for one. As much as I wanted to find out what was happening, I decided that I had to take a step back and not write back to Adam immediately. I needed to think. I needed answers, and in this horrible time of war, there wasn't a lot I could do. I had to focus on my patients at work. Maybe by not responding to Adam straight away, this man, this person, could possibly slip up. Oh dear, listen to me. I'm already thinking this man's letters are not from my Adam. I decided to do more shifts at the hospital for two reasons. One, so that I wasn't able to dwell so deeply every minute of the day on what was going on with Adam. And two, hoping that this mysterious American pilot may turn up at the hospital again. And I wanted to make sure that I was on duty. Night shift duty. I started my first night shift the next day, but no strange American pilot turned up, much to my disappointment. There were a couple of letters from Adam when I returned home that I put off reading until after I had eaten. I so wanted to tear into those letters, but a part of me was being very cautious. I still had not written back to him yet, and I was very hesitant to read what he had to say.
To my loving Grace, it's been 3 long weeks since I've gotten a letter from you. I am so worried about you, my darling Grace. Have I done something wrong? Please write to me, Grace. Just let me know you're okay. I so love you, Grace. With all my love, Adam.
Adam, of course, was realizing that something was wrong because I had stopped writing. I didn't want him to become suspicious, so I wrote off to him that night and made a vague suggestion that the mail deliveries must be slow. I just spoke of everyday things and inquired about his health. I settled into bed prepared for a restless night, but soon sleep overtook me, only to be disrupted by a disembodied voice which kept repeating my name over and over again, saying,
Grace, Grace, please open your eyes and look at me. I need you, Grace. Grace, I need to talk to you. Please, Grace, I need you.
I knew I had to be dreaming, but opened my eyes and saw a tall, dark figure standing over me, calling my name, imploring me to look at him. I was so afraid, not knowing if I was dreaming or seeing a vision. I sprung up out of bed and turned my light on, only to see nothing. There was no one there. All the doors and windows were locked. I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. I knew with all my heart that the vision I saw was real and that it was Adam. He needed me, but I had no idea what to do, nor how to explain what had just happened. I was on afternoon shift, and after arriving and telling my friends what had occurred, they tried to comfort me with, "Oh, you're just exhausted, Grace, and your mind is playing tricks on you," but also with concern on their faces. I carried on with my duties, and as night time approached, I started my check on all the patients on my ward. As I left the ward and headed for the nurses' station, I thought I saw movement outside the window at the end of the corridor. I headed down to have a closer look. The only lighting coming from outside was a very dim street lamp and the moonlight. As I pressed my face closer to the window, I fell back startled and in shock. There, right outside the window, was a tall figure in a pilot's uniform. I could see this man's face so clearly, and it was Adam. This man was Adam. I could see his mouth open as if speaking, so I quickly raced down the hall to the exit, my heart pounding with excitement. I turned the corner, searching. Only there was no one there. No Adam, no man, nothing. I searched everywhere over again. There was nowhere that anyone could be hiding. I called out to a couple of other nurses, and all of us searched, but found no sign of anyone. In shock and despair, the only reasoning I could come up with was that my friends were right. My mind was playing tricks on me, and I imagined the whole thing. But deep down inside, I knew I hadn't imagined anything. I finished my shift and headed home, but as I walked, I heard distinct footsteps behind me. I turned to see who it was, but again, there was no one there. I continued walking, and the footsteps kept following me, and each time I turned around, there was nothing, no one, just a still silence was all I was met with. I raced home, terrified, locked my doors and windows, and closed all the curtains. What was happening to me? Was I losing my mind? Was I more ill than just exhaustion and worry? I fought hard to keep my eyes open, as I didn't want another vision of Adam standing over me. I eventually fell into a deep sleep, and was thankfully not awoken by any ghostly apparitions, or whatever it was. There was a letter from Adam in the mailbox on my way to work next day. It read,
To my dearest Grace, I'm sending you this letter to tell you I have booked a flight to Australia. I'm to arrive there on the 10th. I am so worried about you, Grace. I've not heard from you in so long. I hope you can greet me at the airport. But if not, then I'll come to your house and pray that you will be there. I can hardly wait to bring you a bouquet of pink roses and hold you in my arms. Respectfully, Adam.
I was in a sheer state of panic, not sure if it was extreme excitement, joy, disbelief, probably a mixture of all of them. I hurried on to work and showed my friends the letter, and that's when my friend told me she had heard from her American soldier who she was seeing. She looked very worried, and I could tell it was very hard for her to get her words out. But once she did, I understood why she found it so difficult to say what she was about to say. Her soldier boyfriend did a lot of digging to find out anything he could about Adam's plane and his squadron. I went white and thought I was about to pass out when my friend read out the letter. You see, Adam's plane was shot down, but the plane wreckage had only just been discovered 5 days ago.